The receipt said 0, and for a moment it felt like the world itself had leaned in to laugh at her. The plate was empty, the coffee cold, and the day already heavy with small humiliations that added up to something unbearable. When the Hell Angel stood up and walked away, leather creaking and boots thudding toward the door, she swallowed the sting and told herself she'd survive one more shift like she always did. She had no idea that what he left behind, hidden and waiting, would crack open her life and let the light rush in. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet miracles that show up when we least expect them, take a moment right now to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel. And tell us in the comments where you're watching from, because stories like this connect hearts across the world. Her name was Emily Carter, and the diner had become her second home after her first one fell apart. Red vinyl booths, black and white tiles, the soft clatter of plates and the constant hum of the grill were the backdrop to her days and nights. She was a single mother with a 5-year-old named Noah, a boy with big eyes and a laugh that came out of nowhere like sunlight through clouds. Emily worked doubles when she could, took extra shifts when someone called out, and learned to smile even when her feet burned and her back ached. Tips paid for groceries, tips paid for gas, tips filled the gaps that her paycheck never could. Every dollar mattered, especially since the rent had gone up again and Noah needed new shoes because his feet seemed to grow overnight. That morning had started badly. Noah had woken up with a cough, the kind that made Emily's chest tighten with worry, but she couldn't afford to miss work. She dropped him at the neighbor's apartment with a bag of cough drops and a kiss, promising she'd be back before bedtime. The bus ran late, her apron strap snapped, and the manager reminded her, not unkindly but firmly, that customers had been complaining about slow service. By the time the Hell Angel walked in, Emily's patience was already frayed thin as thread. He stood out in a room full of regulars. Tall and broad, with a beard streaked with gray and arms wrapped in ink, he wore a black leather vest with a skull stitched on the back and a name that made some people look away. The patch said he belonged to a world that didn't care much for rules or explanations. A few heads turned. Emily noticed but didn't judge. She had learned long ago that appearances told only part of the story, and besides, a customer was a customer. She poured his coffee, took his order, and moved on, carrying plates and refilling mugs with practiced efficiency. The Hell Angel ate quietly, methodically, as if each bite carried weight. He didn't rush her, didn't complain, didn't make small talk. When he asked for the check, Emily placed it on the table with the same tired smile she gave everyone. She watched him reach into his pocket, count bills, and leave them folded beneath the plate. Then he was gone, the bell above the door chiming softly as it closed behind him. Emily cleared the table when she had a moment, stacking dishes and wiping crumbs. She slid the receipt out and felt her stomach drop. 0. No tip. It was a small thing, really, but it landed on her like a blow. She felt foolish for the hope that had fluttered up in her chest when she saw him counting money. She felt ashamed for the way disappointment stung her eyes. She told herself to keep moving, to not let it show, to remember that people didn't owe her anything beyond what was written on the menu. It wasn't until she lifted the plate that she noticed something strange. The plate felt heavier than it should have. Underneath it, taped carefully to the table so it wouldn't slide away, was a folded envelope, thick and worn at the edges. Her hands trembled as she peeled it free. Inside were bills, more than she had ever held at one time, neatly stacked and wrapped with a rubber band. There was also a piece of paper, folded small, the words written in a rough but careful hand. Emily didn't read it right away. She counted the money instead, because that was easier than feeling. It was enough to cover her rent for 2 months, enough to buy Noah shoes and medicine, enough to breathe. Her vision blurred, and she had to sit down in the empty booth to steady herself. Around her, the diner went on, oblivious to the small miracle unfolding in red vinyl and chrome. When she finally unfolded the note, her breath caught. It wasn't long, but it carried a weight that pressed against her chest. It spoke of a man who had been judged his whole life by patches and scars, who had learned to keep his kindness hidden because showing it had once cost him dearly. It spoke of a mother he lost too young, a waitress who worked nights and smiled through exhaustion, who taught him that dignity lived in the way you treated people when no one was watching. It said he left the tip where it mattered, where it wouldn't be taken or taxed or explained away. It said to keep going. Emily pressed the paper to her heart and cried, quietly, so no one would see. She thought of Noah's cough and the way he clung to her leg when she left for work. She thought of the endless balancing act, the way she had learned to stretch hope thin and make it last. And she thought of the man who had walked out without a word, leaving behind proof that goodness didn't always announce itself. The days that followed felt different, lighter, as if the air itself had shifted. Emily paid the rent and bought groceries without counting every cent. She took Noah to the doctor and listened as the cough was explained and eased. She slept a little better, laughed a little more. She kept the note folded in her wallet, a talisman against despair. Sometimes, when the diner was slow, she would take it out and read it again, letting its quiet strength steady her. Word didn't spread, because Emily didn't tell anyone. It felt sacred, something meant just for her. But kindness has a way of rippling outward whether we intend it or not. Emily found herself more patient with difficult customers, more generous with coworkers who needed a shift covered. She left extra change for the barista on her way to work, brought soup to the neighbor who watched Noah, and started a small jar at home labeled rainy day, not because she expected storms, but because she believed she could weather them. Weeks later, on a rainy afternoon when the diner smelled like coffee and wet coats, the bell chimed again and Emily looked up to see the Hell Angel standing in the doorway. He looked the same, leather and ink and quiet presence, but this time, Emily felt no fear, only gratitude so deep it almost hurt. She served him with care, refilling his cup before it was empty, making sure his food was just right. She wanted to say something, to thank him, to let him know what he had done, but the words tangled in her throat. When he left, he did so the same way as before, without fanfare, without looking back. Under the plate this time, there was nothing. No envelope, no note. Just the clean table and the faint impression of where something important had once rested. Emily smiled, because she understood. The gift had already been given. It wasn't meant to be repeated or acknowledged. It was meant to be carried forward. Life didn't suddenly become easy. Bills still came, shifts still ran long, and there were nights when Emily lay awake worrying about the future. But something inside her had changed. She had seen, in the most unexpected way, that the world still held room for grace. She taught Noah to say thank you and please, to look people in the eye, to believe that kindness could wear any face. She told him stories about angels that didn't have wings, about help that arrived quietly and left without applause. Years later, when Noah was older and Emily had moved on to a better job, she would still think about that day. About the receipt that said zero and the plate that hid everything that mattered. She would think about how close she had come to missing it, how easy it would have been to sweep it away with the crumbs. She would think about the choice to look again, to lift the weight and see what was underneath. If this story has touched your heart, if it's reminded you that hope can show up in leather and silence, please take a moment now to like the video, share it with someone who needs a reminder of goodness, and subscribe for more stories that shine light in dark places. Your engagement helps these stories reach the people who need them most. And before this story ends, we ask you to leave a comment, not just with a word, but with a moment from your own life when unexpected kindness changed everything, because those moments matter more than we know. Emily never saw the Hell Angel again, but she didn't need to. His gift lived on in the way she moved through the world, in the way she raised her son, in the quiet decision to believe that even when the tip looks like nothing, there might be everything waiting just beneath the surface.